All aboard! For this stagecoach is about to move out, and it's for everyone that has potential and would love to be a superstar. Yeah, buddy, this stagecoach is leaving for Fun Timesville, and the Lord God is your driver. To see that we have a safe trip, AC is your conductor. Come on, everybody!
Headed down to Funsville. Come on, take the ride if you will.
Everybody!
You don't have to worry
The
about
Lord God
nothing.
is your driver.
Just come on and get on board.
Ladies and gentlemen, no tickets will be accepted on this trip. You just sit back and ride. Get ready. Everybody put your hands together right about here. We're going to do a soul clap. Come on, everybody. We're going to ride. We're going to ride. We're going to ride. Soul clap. Soul clap. Get ready.
Headed down to Funsville.
Good morning to each and every one of you, and welcome aboard to another episode. I think we are on episode 8, Walk a Mile in My Shoes. Well, Sister Long is sitting in for BB today, and we're going to have an excellent show today. We're going to go deep. I don't know how deep we're going to go today, but we're going to go in the water. Every week we strive to go in the water because we've got a lot of things that's going on in the background of our lives, and we are so busy. We are occupied, we are stressed out with our jobs, our kids, our husband, our wives, our family, our friends, and we're not communities like we used to be. We've become to be neighbors, hoods. I took pause in there to say we've become neighborhoods. That's not a good word. But we need to get back to being communities. I can remember when we didn't even have to lock our doors. We could just shut the door and leave home. If we needed a piece of egg, or you could borrow that from next door. The neighbor can beat your children, and he would hope that you didn't tell mom or daddy. You beat somebody in the neighborhood's child today. You can't do that. We've got a problem in our politics, economics, spiritual life. We just got to, you remember the commercial? We've got a problem, Houston. Well, let's move on here. We've got David standing by, and we're going to get right into it. And David, as always, David's going to take us and prepare us for what we're about to receive today. David, are you ready? Take us there. Let me say this while David is probably getting prepared. If there's a red line in your microphone, that means you're on mute. If there's the light on your microphone and there's a red line, that means you're on mute. When you're ready to talk, please click your mic to get the red line off of your phone. That takes you off of mute. But if you're not talking, please keep your phone on mute so we won't hear the background noise, because it interrupts with the show and the editing and everything. And while I'm here, I'm going to also mention the fact that on this show, we ask that we don't go into challenging each other. If someone has something to say and they are of another religion or other thoughts in a different place from where you are, that's where they are. We're going to meet each other wherever they are. We're not going to try to teach anyone or try to program anyone to think like we think. The David that says the prayer, he's not there? Okay, I'll do it. Father, we thank you for all that you've done. We thank you for where you brought us. Father, we thank you that you've allowed us to come to this place where we are able to meet each other wherever they are. Father, we ask that you speak through us today. We ask that you open up our ears and touch our hearts this morning. And Father, we thank you that you're always there, willing and ready to meet us wherever we are. And we thank you. And it is done. I am, and I'm ready. we're ready to go deep in the water this morning. Sister Long, you're sitting in for BB, and we're going to ask that you start off by reading all the questions from number 1 all the way through number 4. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go back and start from number 1. And the questions that we're asking, it always meet what we are talking about. And our topic is, what's causing us to be disconnected? Why are we always disconnected? What's going on with us? Why can't we communicate effectively for clarity? Why can't we understand that I'm in my mind, you can't get in there? But if you tell me what kind of problem we have and confront me of whatever I did that offend you, then maybe we can discuss it and move on together. Why are we having all of these problems? Sister Long, let's go.
Okay, so all of these questions are in regards to what keeps us disconnected and why. So the question number 1 was, is it politics, and if so, why? Second one was religion, and why? The third one, is it money? Question number 4 was, is it jealousy, and why? Number 5 that I think we'll be going into today is, are people not aware of the benefits or the consequences of us being connected? And if so, why? Number 6 was, is it the people that control the system, and why? Number 7 was about education. Are we going to talk about education and the real reason for education? Number 8 is there a lack of effective communication, and why? Number 9 is there not enough participation from the people for a change, and why? Number 10 is, are we losing control of our economics and spiritual balance, and why? And then number 11 is, are we territorial, majoring on everything different, but not communicating effectively together for a priority plan for our real problem, power economics, and the truth about spiritual information of balance. Number 12 is, why do we allow the enemy to play us against each other instead of confronting each other with our issues to move on together? Number 13 is, do we have a problem? And number 14 is, what is the solution to our problems?
Okay, that's number 14. And those are all the questions leading back to trying to get to the solution. And that's what we are after. We want to get to the bottom of what's our problem, because we can no longer afford to be territorial or be at war among ourselves. We just can't afford to do that any longer. At the end of Dr. King's life, he said, I've led my people into a burning fire. We've got to get out of this fire. So, Sister Long, let's go back. And where are we now? Where did we stop last week? Where are we going to take from?
I think we needed to pick up at number 5 with, people not aware of the benefits or the consequences of togetherness.
Okay.
I think we touched on it a little last week and didn't necessarily go all the way into it.
So, okay, we're going to pick up from number 5. Let me say this before we get into number 5. During the show today, there's going to be a place, because what BB and I had talked about doing is, because some people, not everyone, some people have a short attention span. So what we're going to start doing is we call it a station break. So whenever I said we're going to do a station break right about here, it's not going to be in the chat within the show. But if you would view back on YouTube to view us on our YouTube show, that entertainment clip will be in there. And at the end of the show is always a clip on the end of the show with an entertainment taking us out. So I just want to give you those 2 pieces of information. And throughout the show, I probably continue to remind you, please, if there's a red line going through your mic, that means that you are muted. And when you're ready to speak, click your mic to be unmuted. Sister Long, you got it.
Okay, well, like I said, we were going into, are people not aware of the benefits or the consequences of togetherness and why? And the reason I say we touched on it last week is because I mentioned how in Southern California, the culture is different. It just seems like even though or I say we, but I'm here in South Carolina, and we see regular, everyday Black people every day around, and we know how to move into Black spaces and everything. It just doesn't seem like there's that kind of togetherness in the Southwest. So, I was saying, if you know of anybody, if you have some cousins who have moved out to the Southwest, check on them. Definitely let them know that, there's still a need for togetherness, because I feel like they just don't have that out there.
Okay, so what is the question for number 5?
The question for number 5 was, are people not aware of the benefits or the consequences, and why? So the benefits and the consequences of being disconnected.
Okay, so
and like I said, I honestly feel like in Southern California, they're not aware.
Okay, that was your take. Oh, thank you for that, Sister Long. So now the question is, and she gave her input on that. So is anyone prepared to chop at the bits to speak on the question? Why is it that, or is it that we don't read? What was that question again? Read it again, Sister Long.
It's basically, are people not aware of the benefits or the consequences, and
Okay,
why?
the question is, do you feel like people not aware? And that's a question I want to know too. I'm really excited to hear the answer to that. Is it that people not really aware of the problem that we're having? Is it that they don't understand that we've got a problem? Do we have a communication problem? Read it one more time, Sister Long.
It's are people not aware of the benefits or the consequences of us being disconnected as a community, and why?
Yeah, do they realize the benefits and the consequence? What is the consequence of us not being together? What is the benefit and the consequence? Can anybody speak to that? Now we got a plate full of food here, and the table is already decorated. We don't got no Kool-Aid on the table. We got no rum on this table, and I know that's what some of you are looking for. But all we got is food on this table. And we want to get you fed to where we can function as a community, not a neighborhood. Is anybody there? Anybody? Not everybody. We got people in the chat. Nobody want to speak to this?
I can speak on it.
Came up in here.
Listen, good morning to everybody. Okay, this is my thing. Proverb 26:11 said, as a dove returned to its vomit, so is a fool. Now, for us, I believe that we know, some of us, we all know, when you really got a total relationship with God, you really do know when you wrong somebody. Now, you may not want to acknowledge it, or you maybe not want to stand and stand for it, but you really know when you wrong somebody. Now, a lot of us don't want to take accountability when you say something to somebody, or you curse somebody, or you wrongdoing somebody, or people think that sometimes when we say things, or we hurt somebody, or we kill somebody, we kill them with a gun. But when you kill somebody, it don't always got to be with a gun. It's that tongue. Our tongue is a weapon. And that's how we damage a whole lot of people. And we don't want to take accountability for it. And the more we do it, we think it's right, because we don't want to take accountability. So what we do, we take it and we throw it under the rug. And we put it under the rug. We keep on putting under the rug. And sometimes the rug stops bending and buckling. And so we feel that when all this chaos comes in your home and chaos comes on your job, and we feel like where's all this chaos, because those are the seeds that you already plant. And so we don't want to take accountability for hurting each other's feelings, for killing each other with our tongue, because we feel that it's right. So when you get to that point that you don't take accountability and you don't say you're sorry, that means you already turned to a reprobate mind. So therefore, you are capable of doing any and everything. There's nothing that's off limit.
Wow, sister, you always preaching. And let me say that now this sister is on. She's got her own business, And I'm making not excuses, but I'm giving reasons for why her camera keeps moving. She's got a business. She has her own business, and she's looked like she has a client in the chair. She does hair, and she probably don't want to have that client exposed in the video. So her camera moves around like that. So that's why she's doing that. But let me piggyback on what she's saying here, because I'm collecting the thoughts, and I always do that. I try to pay close attention. What she is saying, sometimes we offend people, but we don't want to acknowledge it, or sometimes someone offend us, and we don't want to confront them because we feel that they may feel like we're attacking them. But the only way we're going to be able to move forward is we confront each other with our issues. Because sometimes my perception could be different from yours, because I can't see or I can't understand what you're receiving for what I said. I could have said something and I mean one thing, but you received it another way. And if you don't tell me if it was something offensive or something you disagree with, I'm not a mind reader. I won't know. And then we cannot go on what other people tell us. And please don't forget, AI plays a very important part in this. Because please, I'm telling you, and I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you. I used to do video and editing, and I could take your face and put it on someone else's face. And AI now can copy your voice, use your voice, and put it on someone else. Google these things that I'm telling you, because right now we are being played against each other, and we are not aware of what's going on in the background. And there's a lot of things that's causing us to be disconnected, and we are not aware of it. We are at war against each other, and we don't even know why. And we are not prepared for what's coming down the pipe. Sister, I really thank you for that. And is anyone else can elaborate on the fact that, number 5, the question is, do you realize that we got a problem? Are you aware of the benefits if we could come together? Are you aware of the consequence if we continue to be at war against each other? Do you realize what's going to happen? And I could go on with some of the consequence, but I'm not right now, because I need someone to jump in here and chop at the bit. Come on. No one. That tells me that everyone thinks that we don't have a problem. All the people that we've got in the chat, no one feels like we've got a problem. Again, if your mic is red, then you're muted. If your mic is red, click the mic to get unmuted, because everyone is on mute. And that's what I felt like last. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Good
morning.
It's morning. It's early morning over here, so y'all the first people I talked to.
Good morning. Who is it?
Southern California.
All right, come on up in here.
So when you say we, who are we talking about? We. What do you mean we?
We as a people, we're talking about you, I, and people of color. Well, no, let's go deeper than that, brother. Because okay, like in our conversation this morning with BB and Kenesha, we were talking about the fact that when the people that's oppressing us, let me do it this way. If you keep kicking a dog and you don't feed that dog, tell me what happens.
The dog starts to hate you.
Would it not attack you?
Yeah.
If you don't feed this dog and you keep kicking, and then this could have been an old mutt, you know, that runs every time. But if you keep kicking him and don't feed him, and I'm not going to go into, but my point I'm trying to get to is the oppressors. So this really involves everyone. Our oppressors, and I'm glad you brought that up. The people that oppress us, if they keep putting us in the position that we are in and think that they can have a comfortable life, no problems. They are dreaming, hallucination. They're in a wrong state of mind, because eventually good people turn evil to survive. They're going to get attacked by good people, and some people are not really good in the beginning. So this question is for everyone, but it really directs directly to our people of color. Why are we at war against ourselves? Why have we allowed the enemy to play us, micromanage us, and we fell for it? Come on.
Well, I wouldn't like to be at war.
But we are. But we are.
Yeah, but I think.
But stop right there a minute. Answer this question. Are we at war? Are we at war against each other? Are we at war against each other or not? Would you say? Do we have a problem in our community, in our neighborhood? We're not community like we used to be, or would you say we are?
No, I'm kind of jealous of the communities that I see, of people of color that come together like that. Historically, I think we've done it a few times. I think we've done it as far as the civil rights movement, like as long as there's a cause. I feel like our people in Haiti has done it with the Haitian Revolution, and I think that was in 1804. I think that was the time where we saw Black people coming together that caused freedom throughout every other country, where Nat Turner was inspired and was planning a trip to Haiti. I think that, I mean, that's my father. That's my father's side. But I saw that. I remember seeing a Haitian festival where an altercation, a physical altercation happened, and one brother was fighting another brother, and a police officer, a white police officer came over, and then everyone else started pushing each other in more like a dance. And they started doing a dance together, where they have this mentality of, if I have an issue with my brother, that doesn't involve you. And I admired that. I saw that as a kid, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, even if somebody was at war, at a little war with each other, it wasn't important for someone else to come in and interfere with that. Like, no, I have a problem with this person. That's me. That's our issue. We solve our own problems. I thought that was admirable. I love community. I think that's where we find different churches. I mean, I think there's so many churches now. There's so many denominations now. So those groups are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But whenever I see somebody else that looks like me, I make sure I look them in the eye and I say hi. I acknowledge them. I want to say, I say, how you doing? But I wait for an answer. It's not a statement. It's a question. When my sister invited me to join this conversation, I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to talk to other Black people. Like, so I seek community. I'm a husband and I'm a father of about to be 7. And we build community here. The face reaction. Oldest is 9, so we've been going back to back. So we have community within our house. We weren't meant to be alone. I think community is great. I mean, I try to seek community. So when I think community, I don't think war. I think, can we get along? Can we find a way to complement each other? Can we find a way to do business with each other? How can we support each other? I need you, you need me. So I don't see it as a war. I think of it more of some conversations need to be had. Did I offend you? Let me know. How can I best serve you?
Okay, brother, thank you for those comments and your responding. Now, I'm going to give someone else the opportunity, and if no one comes in, you're welcome to come back and speak to what I'm about to say. The questions I'm going to ask, because I'm going to piggyback on what you just said and trying to right now stay on this number 5 for a second, because you made it so deep. You took us in another area of the water. But let's go back to the first question I asked.
Go back to my text message.
Someone said something?
Yeah,
Sister?
I wanted to say something.
Go right ahead, sister.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I want to say that prisoners of war is hard to be in a war, but I don't know if that's a good sentence, and I feel like the problem is identity crisis. And what I mean by that is, let me try to put this in words that make sense, because sometimes it'll be in my mind and I can't get it into the proper words. But the fight is against Americans. Okay, so when we identify with who we are in the natural form, that puts things in perspective, because when you have Black people in the land that all identify as a different nationality or creed or clan or tribe or whatever the proper language is there, it's impossible to get the just due. That's why Haitians are Haitians, Jamaicans are Jamaicans. They all have their country to go to. But we as Black Americans, or indigenous or aboriginal, or however we want to classify ourselves at the end of the day, in real terms, we can start having a conversation about what is just due, what our needs are. But until we all understand that it's the fight against Americans and not a Black on Black. Because if you go to Russia, you're going to get Russia on Russia, China on China. Whenever you go to the land of the people, that's the most activity. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's any different in any other land set, to me, in my opinion. So I think when we start realizing we're Americans and we're just do what an American is just do, as opposed to a Black man or a former enslaved person or any of those terminologies, I think we will start to have a movement that can move as fast as the LGBTQ community moved. That was a great movement that moved so fast and got the things that they need and to just do. You can't be mad at that group, because they formed a universal identity and came together and talked about the needs and put it on paper and came up with solutions.
Okay, thank you for that, Sister Claudia. Sister Claudia just came in and gave us some comments. Now, I'm going to go back to Brother Claude Anderson. And Claude Anderson speaks directly, and I did a video with him, myself, Les Brown, and a few others. And at some point, I will air it. But we're going right into responding. Sister Claude said, and what we're looking at here is, at this particular time, what I'm hearing is that, now I agree, this is a problem with everyone, but really at the present time, we talked about this previously on other shows, and we were all in one area agreeing on the same thing, that our dollar that we spend outside of our communities is a part of our problem. And that, I think that's a part of that's one of the questions down the line when it talks about the dollar. But right now, I'm hearing that, and it's a matter of how you would word it. And I choose to say, we at war against ourselves because we are territorial, and and a lot of us are working on positive areas, things that's very important. But we need to come up and we talked about this earlier. We need to have a priority plan for a solution for what's causing us the major problem. We are all over the place discussing different areas, but we need to find a place that we all agree that we needed to get on the same accord. And number one, the first thing I think it would be is economics and spiritual balance. We've got a problem. We got 1 million religion, and our dollars are being spent outside of our communities. Someone wanted to speak. Come on in.
That must be me, David Long.
Come on in.
Okay, if I'm in, you said there's no rum on the table. I'd like to go back to maybe a little 7 and 7. And I don't mean the kind of 7 and 7 you're thinking. I'm like Matthew 7 and 7. In Matthew 7 and 7, it says, raise a child in the way you'd have him to go. And when he grows old, he will not stray from it. If he do, he'll come back to it. When the parents are not raising their children, a young man came on a while ago and said he saw 2 brothers in the Haitian street fighting, and a white cop came over and everybody started dancing. I think if we taught our children to pass, because as the saying go, if you forget your past, you'll definitely repeat it. And with the so-called enemy or the Caucasian people or the Mexican Jews, they don't forget their past. They're talking about the Holocaust and 6 million Jews were killed. How many Africans died coming across the water? Not the ones that got here and was killed after they got here. I'm quite sure that if they could possibly count the African Americans or Negroes who were killed after they got to the United States in 1865 when they got the freedom, I'm quite sure that you would find more than 6 million Negroes killed in the South since 1865. I'm not talking about before that when they killed Negroes and didn't even bother to count them or bury them, anything like that. I'm talking about since 1865 when we supposed to have gotten our freedom. And we can come on up to at the I think it was like 1870 something when the Negroes was in Congress and the Senate, and they were saying, if you don't want us in the United States, give us a part of this land because we no longer know our native land. We no longer own. We no longer know our people. That's where what's his name, Garvey came in. Marcus Garvey came in wanting to get a shipload of people to take back to Africa. And when they did get in the 1930s, they got a part when President Monroe was a president of the United States. He tried to assist the Negroes in going back to Africa, and that's where you have Monrovia, Africa, come from. Now, if you come back to the United States, before that, the black people had the right to ask Congress for a part of this country to make it our own country where all black people could come to. The answer was no, because if you give them a part of the South, the North was in the industrial part, they weren't willing to give up. The South was not willing to give up because they would own the land and they grew the crops. And if you give all, then the question was, can America exist without the Negro? Negroes were so integrated into the industry and marketplace of America. I don't think they didn't think America could really stand without the Negro. Now they want to phase the Negro out because they got the Mexican coming in. The problem with the border, we're talking about the border control. The lady from Arizona, who's a senator in Arizona, who's an independent, she sent an interpreter down to the border. She found people coming in from other countries, not necessarily Mexican. She found Japanese, Chinese, people who didn't speak any English or Spanish. We even found some people coming in from Africa. That's because people in this country are sending, even over there where it said Israel and Gaza, they're fighting now, but the people are still coming over to Asia, coming up through Mexico, coming into the United States. Once they get here, they find their people and they take care of them. How many of us, I don't even know any Africans who in Africa, but if there was some to come here, would I try to take care of them? I don't know. I haven't met any. But when they get here, they get in touch with their people and they go to work. And they send all their money back to Africa. That's a problem. When the Mexicans come, they send their money back to Mexico. That's a problem. When the Chinese and when the people from Israel come over here and they own so much over here that they don't have to send money back. They just send cargo and everything else. They're doing world trade with those people in that little small country. You see how many people's in there? They killed like 20-something thousand trying to save 100 and something. I mean, it's just staggering. Okay. Thank you for your minute.
Okay, but look here, listen, brother, I really appreciate everything you said. and I'm going to piggyback on what you just said, and anybody can jump in. If no one jumps in, would you come back and respond to this? So what I'm hearing from you is
Yes,
all and everyone come from other countries, and everyone works together or pool their resources together, but we are not doing that. Now, my question is, am I wrong? Are you seeing, and I'm not trying to be negative, it is what it is. We are not where we need to be because no one is talking up with the problems that there's a problem, Houston.
The problem could be,
Brother David, hold up. Brother David, hold up. Let this brother speak.
Okay.
All right. My name is Hashem Lafon, by the way. Nice to meet everybody. I think I think what you guys touched on, what Sister Claudette just touched on, Brother AC, I think you guys, and Brother David, I think you were all touching on a topic of an identity issue. I think once we can agree on who we are, where we come from, I think that'll make it a lot easier because we have so many subdivisions as a people. We have a division of religion. We have a division of ethnicity. We don't even know whether we identify as Black, Indigenous, African American, American African, Negro, nigger. We don't know. We haven't agreed on who we are, so it's hard to identify who our brothers and sisters are. I think once we start there, because I believe the words of Malcolm X, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah, if you don't stand for something, you fall for it. Right. Come on.
Yeah, so I think we're in a place too, because we're in a place where we don't. When I say I get jealous of community, I don't know where Black people talk. I know historically, Southern churches, that's where we would get together and commune and strategize and come up with a plan. I'm like, where do we do? where do we strategize and come with a plan? Where do we talk where other people aren't there? I think that's important. I think who we identify as. I think that's that community that they got identity down pat, and they're including each letter. If we can have a AA, Black, NN, whatever. If we can identify as that, and somebody can, because I think at the heart of it, we have historically this being stolen and being sold and traded and betrayed. I think we don't know who to trust anymore. Who are our people?
Man, that was good. That was good, brother. That was real good.
No, I mean, I would love to get to the bottom of the issue with you guys.
You jump in where you fit in. You're in the water already. You know, you sound like you got your boots on. Sister, come on in right quick. You got 5 minutes to do it.
And another thing, as far as what the brother was saying, it's all about love, and it's all about, if you got God in you, and you got that relationship. Let me go back to this relationship. And you got God in you. It's easy to love. I don't care who they are or what color or what nationality. I don't know. I don't understand, when it says we don't know how to love, because when we came up, we saw our mothers and fathers, how they love and our grandparents, how they love on each other. It don't matter what happened or what they did. They still love each other. And so that should have been bedded into our spirit. And so as we grow up and you get to have a relationship with God, it comes with love. And so when you have that godly love, it's easy to help. It's easy to love. It's easy to apologize, because at the end of the day, you got to know who you are. Because once you know who you are in God, and once you know you are in Christ, nobody can do anything to you. They can't hurt you. They might be able to hurt the flesh, but they doggone sure can't hurt that spirit inside. And so it all goes back to love. It really does.
Okay, thank you, sister. Now I'm going to do a little confession here with myself. Sometimes I'm very what you would call outspoken, and sometimes I say things and I'm not thinking. And I'm just like the rest of us. I'm not perfect. Uh, I've come along. I'm evolving, but sometimes I would assume something and don't have all the facts. And sometimes I hasty say things or communicate something on to someone else. And then after I've done that, I said, well, you know something, maybe you shouldn't have said all of what you said because you don't really know if all that's the fact. That's why I said it's important that we confront each other. Even if I said something that you told me or something I felt and you heard it, you need to confront me. And I need to be man enough because if I continue to keep doing the same things and get away with it, I'm not going to realize that we got a problem. And I'm going to piggyback what the brother was talking about. He commented, that's what we are all about on this particular platform, getting to the bottom of our problem. Someone wanted to come in?
Yeah, it's me again. I was going to say that having a safe space is so important with good intention. Providing a safe space like the churches did for families who had loved ones that were distressed back in the day, they would take them to the church and the church would take you to the sheriff, and it would be a process of love, and the community would have all their information and their hands on the situation, and the results would be the best results. Today everybody's left to fight their battles and their trials and tribulations by themselves, and if you don't have the stuff in your toolbox and the know-how, you're gonna get lost, and it's a cruel world out here. Nobody cares enough anymore to care about what their neighbor is doing anymore. I know when we moved in our community over 50 years ago, our neighbors were diverse and they were real neighbors. We could go in their house no matter what color they were or what creed they were, and they protected us. We were in the area where busing and violence was real. Like I'm gonna be in my 60s, and we lived through this with when it was violent, and we had to stand firm and go into the school committees and fight to have our kids go to the schools in our own communities as opposed to being bussed out and fought with trauma and violence. There's no safe spaces for us to talk about these things that happened to us. Those things didn't happen 100 years ago. Those things happened when I was a little girl and my brothers was a little girl. And when we talk about those stories, even right now, I get goosebumps because people think that that trauma happened a long time ago, but they don't give us counseling. They don't give us centers so we could heal and talk about these things. They don't provide those things for us. So how do you heal a nation that's been so traumatized, that's always on survival mode, especially if you have children here in this country? Like, let's be real. Like, how can we figure out how to take care of each other when we're struggling to take care of ourselves and our immediate family and our loved ones? People have to live with each other now today because the rents are so high and the taxes are so high. And we like people talking about Black people don't get together. Yes, we do. Oh, we do stay with our family to make ends meet and do what we have to do to sacrifice to hold on to what our grandparents and our moms left for us. Some people do fight for that, you know? So it's a real situation out here. And there's no real platforms for us to talk about it. Like he said, we used to be able to go into churches and have a forum. We used to have assemblies back in the school day to talk about issues and concerns. We used to have press conferences when a child got murdered and killed. Like, there's none of that for us anymore. We just have to figure it out all by ourselves, especially the Black women in the community. Like, do you think we get tired of men just sitting on the sideline when we're fighting for our lives and fighting for our kids' lives and trying to get education and still try to do good deeds? It's not easy.
Sister Claudia, you
Okay, can I
hold 1 second. Hold 1 second. Dr. Sham has been there for a minute, and David, you can come back in for a second. But Dr. Sham has been there for a minute, and I got to let Dr. Sham come in. But I just want to piggyback what Claudia just said, because I got to keep things connected here. Now, Claudia she's always on point. And what I'm hearing today is two different sides. But I'm asking everyone to please go back and view our YouTube's videos so you can catch up to where we are. Because if you look at what Dr. Claude Anderson was saying, we as a Black people, that's what this show is all about. Getting to the bottom of our problem. Because right now, this is everyone's problem. But we need to get our house in order, like Cassius Clay said. We need to get ourselves together before we can come out and come together with the other people. In other words, if I'm living in one house and the people next door, I can't go next door and try to get together with them if my house is in chaos. Dr. Sham, come on in. Dr. Sham, are you there? You wanted to
Yes, race first. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. We must understand that the Creator created us all. He created good and he created evil. You know, in Proverbs 16:9 says, a man's heart devises his way, but the Lord directed his steps. Cross-reference off of that to go right into continue the discussion. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. In the Holy Quran of Mecca, Saudi Arabia says, this is a revelation sent down by the Almighty, the most merciful, in order that you may warn a people whose fathers were not warned, so they are heedless. Indeed, the word of punishment has proved true against most of them. So they will not believe. Verily, we have put on their necks iron collars reaching to the chin so that their heads are raised up. And we have put a barrier before them and a barrier behind them, and we have covered them up so that they cannot see. Some people just cannot see the way. If we acknowledge the Creator, we have the proper guidance, and we know and understand how to unite, how to love one another, how to have peace, how to have justice, how to care, how to have equality amongst ourselves as a righteous people. The Quran also says, do you enjoin right conduct on people and forget to practice it yourselves? Yet you study the scriptures, will you not understand? God's people are lost, Hosea 4:6. God's people are lost due to a lack of knowledge. So when we don't acknowledge the Creator, when we take the Creator out of the discussion or out of our lives, that's where we fail. Psalm 91 says, he indeed fails who corrupts his soul, and he indeed succeeds who purifies his soul. That's Psalm 91, Holy Quran. Peace raise first.
Okay, somebody's been waiting for a while. Who's out there been waiting for a while wanted to speak? David, I'm gonna let you come back in, David, but has someone else been waiting for a while to speak?
Okay, I've been waiting for a little minute.
Come
I
on,
was trying to let Dr. Sham speak first. He always makes a good, insightful point. But I was going to address the young man earlier was saying how, like, the Haitians come over here and they work together. I think one of the things that we have to recognize and realize is that we as Afro-Americans are our own thing. We have our own culture and we are our own people. So we need to come together as that. And the same way it used to be the church every Sunday that you have the meetings and stuff. Now we have the cookout. And I mean, it's been made into a joke because I guess white people just realized that we had our own table that we were sitting at, and that we were communicating and doing our things with. But, we have the cookout nowadays. And in my experience, as someone who has left the country, I was all the way down in the southern part of Mexico. And yes, making a community when there was Black Family Oaxaca, some people would say, well, why did we separate instead of just being expats from America? Well, no, the benefit of us having Black Family Oaxaca was that it created a safe space for us to ask questions and get information and just share with each other. But things like when I ran out of shea butter, I was able to talk to my peoples, and somebody said, "Oh, I got somebody coming from the U.S." Because they understood that we can't find shea butter down in Mexico, as opposed to if it was in the bigger group, they would have been like, "Oh, just use regular lotion." No, I'm a shea butter person. If somebody wanted some grits, we always knew somebody who could ship some. Somebody wanted to ask, how do you ask for flats versus drums in Spanish? So the benefit, I'm just circling back to the question, is that the benefit of us being together is that it creates safe spaces. I think someone earlier was saying something about how our ancestors were living in a constant state of stress. They were always in survival mode. They had the weight of the world on their shoulders and everything. But when we come together, it creates a space where you can just relax. You can, like I said, you can make jokey jokes about flats versus drums. You can talk about shea butter and where to get your hair braided. So I just wanted to point that out.
Somebody's mic on and they're not speaking. David, you next. I'm gonna let David. Sister Long, are you finished?
Okay.
Hold it, David. Hold it, David.
Yes.
Sister Long, are you finished?
Yes, I'm good.
But right here, we're going to take a station break. CHG Production in Hilton Head at Dies Gullah for the old-fashioned way of having fun under the sun, good gospel singing, pie cooking contest, TV cameras on hand. If you've ever been to Die, you will be back. Tell Die Arthur said, stop by.
Change on come.
Sing it, Bill.
Oh, yes, it will.
Let's give Bill a hand. Let's give Bill a hand. Change will come. Sam Cooke, old tune, call it the oldie but goodie. Bill, you gonna do another one?
Yeah, I'm gonna do another one for you. And this is another old song that I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna take you way back and do this old song. A lot of people, this song is played just like Sam Cooke, in different eras, and it's a really spiritual song.
What's the name of it, Bill?
Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah. Let's hear this one. Take it away, Bill.
I see trees are green, red roses too. I see them grow for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see sky of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, color of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. Also the faces of all you lovely people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I have baby crying, and I wasn't born. You learn much more, and oh, Bill, you'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a
y'all want to hear one more? Yes. Do you really want to hear one more? Yes. Bill, can we get one more?
We can get one more.
All right. Put your hands together for yourselves one time. Come on, put your hands.
Hey, stay tuned for part 2 with Bill at Dye in Hilton Head, South Carolina. When you stop by Dye, tell her Arthur said stop in.
David, come on in.
Okay, when I was growing up, I grew up in the AME church, and I was taught to go to church every Sunday. I still go to church. I don't go every Sunday, but I still go to church. When I realized what the older men were going to church for, I was just about ready to lead the farm. I was about ready to lead, lead the plow in the field. In the 1900s, everybody had, or most families had at least one mule or one horse. In the 2000s, which is 100 years later, very few people had a mule or a horse. Everybody had a car or two or three. That's how much the world has changed in 100 years. Only the rich and the very rich and the very well-to-do had cars in 1900. Matter of fact, they didn't even have stoplights because they had no use for them. They didn't have paved roads. They had no use for them. They didn't have interstates. They had no use for them. But we as Black people, we needed each other when we were growing up in the country because we could come to church and find somebody who said this time of year when you were looking for seeds, you could find somebody who would tell you where to go to get seeds or what kind of plow you need to do the bottom plowing to get your ground ready for, because you're going to be planting in a couple of weeks come Easter. You're going to need to know where to get fertilizer from. We needed each other. But now everybody's got the attitude, I got a car and a job and I don't need you. Why should I contact you for anything? I don't need to come to your house to borrow 2 eggs or a stick of butter or half a stick of butter, because a lot of times I've seen the time we made our own butter. We didn't have to buy butter. We bought very little eggs. We something like flour, sugar. We use cane syrup. You could take regular cane syrup and sweeten any kind of. You say no Kool-Aid on the table. Take some sugar, some lemon, and put some syrup in it, and it'll be just as sweet as any lemonade you ever had. You don't need to buy all this stuff. Salt you may need to buy, but I mean to go to the store to buy something like a cake. You can take the regular flour and put syrup again. Here we go again, syrup and lard in it. They tell you now everything's bad for the heart, but lard is bad for the heart. Yeah, it might be bad for the heart, but it's good for the appetite. And we have to decide what's good for us and who needs who. And like I say, when you got a guy out there making 6 figures and he look back on the RMC office, you go to the RMC office to see how much somebody paid for land in let's say 1900. You buy a house nowadays and a piece of land now, you can go back to the RMC office and see who owned that land in 1900, how much they paid for it, and who all owned it from then up until now. And when you see what land sold for $25 an acre, and that was high. When I moved to Charleston, South Carolina in 1970, the guy was trying to sell land over in Mount Pleasant for $600 an acre. And people were saying, ain't nobody gonna pay that. And here it is, 54 years later? If you can find a piece of land over there for $60,000 an acre, try to buy it. Because you can't hardly do it. That's the same land, it hadn't changed. Matter of fact, the only thing they did was build a road through it and build a bridge to it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the attitude now. I'm the big I don't need you. But when we're more like crabs in, like what they used to say, crabs in a bucket. You put them in there, you don't have to put the top on it because they'll always pull one another down. That's not necessarily true. You put us all in. You give the Black man a grocery store, a corner store, and then when you get the bread from the white man's store, take it over to the Black man's store. The Black man's buying day old bread to start with. It's already outdated. When you find things like that out, then you realize that we're buying defective parts and selling them to our people because our people trust us. That's why they make them put dates on canned goods now, because they would dust that stuff off coming out the white man's store. They dust it off and send it right on over to the black store. Not even repackage it, send it to him, and then he'd have to sell it to the black people. Outdated milk, we bought all that stuff, and a lot of black stores wouldn't even sell milk because they knew it was outdated. They would sell it. You can buy it and make butter with it. The first thing, make your own butter.
Okay, David, let me.
We don't.
Ho, 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 ho. Now,
Okay, go ahead. Don't finish.
Let me piggyback on you right quick, David. Then I gotta let this other brother come in right quick. First of all, I want to say, please, when you're not speaking, mute your mic. A lot of people are coming in and they are not on the platform to speak at this particular time. But I'm listening to David, and what I'm hearing is something that BB and I and a lot of us have talked about, and I've been working on this for years. Family, we need to start developing our community. We got a food problem, and we need to start planting food. We need to go back and fetch some of these things that our ancestors did, because they opened the door. They left footprints. They're not here anymore, but they left footprints for us to follow, to do some of the things to get us to where we need to go. What has brought us to where we are now cannot take us to where we need to go. The new generation is going to have to take us to this place that we need to go, to the promised land. But we're going to have to go back and find out, what did the ancestors do to survive to get us to where we are? We're going to have to go back and find out what were some of the problems that caused some of the things that we are dealing with. The brother's waiting, and I want you to come on in, brother, and speak to us. And I know you got something good to say. The brother was standing there, and he came up a second ago. The brother that came on, he'd never been with us before. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, yeah. Hi. So, I mean, David, that was a great point that we came together with food and stuff like that. Came together. It seems like we come together in lack. But it seems like when we have something like that, we kind of get too good for each other. That's one thing I've noticed with what you're saying. One thing I'm reminded of is I sound like a preacher. One thing I'm reminded of is the scripture, the Tower of Babel. One thing I find fascinating that people might have missed is that there was a Tower of Babel, and people came together and they built a tower to go up to heaven.
Yeah. And
the way God stopped them from doing this was confusing their language. Communication is really important, isn't it?
Yes,
The point,
yes.
to the point where God said, if as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible.
Yes.
God said that.
Yes.
God said that about people, and he wasn't necessarily involved in this process.
Come on.
But he said if they can agree and do things, nothing will be impossible for them. So God places the principle on this earth that man can't. There's nothing we can do about it. This is the way it works. If you agree, then nothing will be impossible for you. That's the people. And so what he did, he changed their language. They started speaking Spanish, Haitian Creole. They started speaking Greek. They couldn't. But one of the advantages we have right now, that I love this platform. I think it's a great platform because we're all speaking the same language. Now, God confuses our language. That's different. But we have an advantage that we can talk to each other. We can communicate. We're speaking the same language. I think that's a good starting point. Now we can talk. Now we can plan. And I think when two or more gather together, that nothing will be impossible. So
amen.
I encourage this. I think this is a start. I think you unknowingly found the answer how we can build a community.
We off to a good start. We on something. We tapped into the deep water. Brother, I need to elaborate on what you just. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I just want to say one sentence.
Go ahead,
Claudette want to say one thing, and that's his point is so on point, because we talked about identity, and the most important thing to know who you are, but more important is to know whose you are. And when we all understand whose we are, we, like you said, nothing can defeat us.
Okay, that was really powerful. But I need to elaborate and piggyback on the brother. when God confused their town. See, now the reason God confused their town is because God put us on earth to create. We are made in the image of the Father. We're supposed to be down here creating, making things happen. And
Amen.
they were building a tower coming up to heaven. If God wanted us in heaven, he would have not put us on earth. When you say your Our Father prayer, what it says? Somebody, you don't have to repeat it. Just say it to yourself. Thy kingdom come on earth. They were trying to come to heaven. God wanted us on earth. So we're supposed to be dominating. We're supposed to be taking over down here on earth. We're supposed to be the head and not the tail. Are we the head? We're supposed to be lending and not borrowing. Are we lending? I can stop right there. I just wanted to clarify that scripture of why God confused their town. Because they were coming up to heaven, and God it's just like I told my son, I said, son, go out there and do such and such to the car. And he comes in the house and sit down looking at TV. I told him to go out there. So I cut the TV off.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody come on in.
They probably wanted to escape because the rent was probably too high. And they thought, maybe it might be cheaper if we got up there.
But brother, you understand what I said, the confusion of the town? God didn't have any problem with us being on one accord. They were on one accord because had God not done that, then those jokers would have gone to heaven. Because there's nothing impossible. And that's going back to what Claude Anderson is saying. If we as a people would come together, such as these other people are doing, these other people build a fence around their language, who they are as a people. But we take our dollars and give it to another people that come from another country and make them rich. I'm not saying there's something wrong, we shouldn't do business with them, but we are not doing any business with ourselves. Do you understand? Please somebody go back and look to the previous shows to see where we are and what. We are not discriminating. We are not trying to be better than anyone else. We just want to be able to come up to the table and get a part of the meal. We are being fed the crumbs from the table. And we are the chosen people. We shouldn't be eating the crumbs. We're supposed to be the lender and not the borrower. I stop. Somebody come on in and speak to me.
Being jealous. We need to quit being so jealous of each other and love up on each other and support each other. It's Black people.
Okay. That was good. And that's one of our questions in the number. I don't know what number that is, but one of our questions is jealousy one of our problems?
Yes.
Claudette, I know you got something you want to put on that. Put a stamp on that for me, please.
Well, I have to agree with the sister. Love is the greatest charity. When we love ourselves, we love God, and we live in an order that is designed by nature, by loving, having your spouse love God, as my brother just said. That makes his family so dynamic. Congratulations, by the way, brother Hashan Lafon. I appreciate him talking about his family, because at the end of the day, it's the family that's going to keep the legacy going, because what our grandparents told us is what is the legacy. Some people write their history down, some people give the history orally. So we just have to cherish those things and believe and know who we are. We can't let nobody else give us the narrative. We have to make sure that we were at the table when our grandparents were speaking, so we could know who we are. And then we have to understand and walk in love, and then know whose we are. And this is a great spiritual vibe on this platform every single week. Everybody always comes with the truth and facts. Nobody's so over opinionated where we can't receive a message each and every Saturday. And you keep bringing me back. So I appreciate you.
Okay, we love you, but you always on point. You always put a stamp on the letter, and it always gets delivered. Dr. Sham wants to come on in, but I don't know how many minutes we got left. But I want to remind you once again, we don't compete on the show. And right now, there's a lot of platforms out here. There's a lot of podcasts. And I'm not saying we're the only one. but we are definitely touching things that people need to think about. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And BB will be back with us next week, chopping at the bit. And please mute your mic when you're not speaking. Dr. Sham, come on in and say what you gotta say.
Yes, peace, race first. Yes. What I wanted to say is that when it comes to equality and love, we are on the right points. You know, we must come to know and understand, you know, that with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is the foremost thing according to the Proverbs. And when we greet and meet and talk and relate to one another, trying to come on even kill, trying to have peace, it you know, the thing that blocks that is one thinking that one is better than another, you know, or one is lesser than another, so they got to knock down the one that's better. But all these things here that we are saying, we must not leave the creator out of the equation, because he guides us on the right way. And when we leave him alone, we are way off the or for the wrong track. We fail, you know. So we must have our minds be able to be directed, and be able to be directed by what the creator says will direct us in his word. Peace and raise first.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sham. You know, in the scripture, it says, we are ever learning, but we never come to the full knowledge of the truth. Let's go through. 2 Timothy says, study to show yourself approval. A workman needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And we have got a problem with dividing the word of truth. The scripture comes back and says, line upon line, precepts upon precepts, here, there, a little, until we can come to the full knowledge of the truth. You cannot take one conversation or your perception of what you think the person is saying and come to the full knowledge of the truth. We're going to have to come together and communicate effectively for clarity. And we are not doing this. Some of us are. Like Sister Claudia said, a lot of families are really fighting hard to communicate. Family reunion is not like it used to be. And I admit, I'm guilty now. Sometimes I run off with a perception of what I think is being said, and not all the time is the fact true. And sometimes I'm guilty of saying something to the wrong person, and it gets back, and sometimes it's not all of what I said. And we need to come together and look at all of these things that we are doing. And I'm guilty. I'm evolving. I'm in transition. I'm checking myself.
12:30 and
Oh, David, come on in.
Okay, okay, I'm back. One of the words we stopped using is boycott. We don't use that word anymore. We need to go back to that. And I'm guilty of it a little bit myself, because I just bought a car in 23. And when I went on the lot, I just asked for a salesman. I got a Caucasian salesman. What I should have done was go and look for a Afro-American salesman and buy the car through him. I know they probably wouldn't give me as much discounts as I would. But then I went to the first lot I went to a guy I know as a friend. I thought he was a friend. I got an 800 and something credit score, and he wanted to sell me a car at 9%. I'm like, you got to be kidding. So are we really getting the deals that we can, at 9%? That's extremely too high. To the young man who's got the family and the lady who runs the hair thing, always watch your percentage when you're buying something. And as they used to have to say on my job, save your money and buy what you need cash. And you don't have to go to anybody to ask questions. Take that, what you bought, and make more money, and you can stop asking questions. The Caucasians, the people who we got thinking that we are at war with each other, first thing they got us thinking is, you got to owe somebody to have something. That's not true. You don't have to owe anybody. All you have to do is save your money, keep your money away from them until you get what you want, and then you can tell them what you want to pay for it. And you don't have to buy it here locally. You don't have to buy it locally. You can go to the lot and tell the man, like Farrakhan say, at the Million Man March, he wants you to give him $1. You go to buy a car and you pay the man $4,000 and you don't ask him what he's doing with it. Now you come to him and ask him what's he gonna do with $1. You figure, what can $1 do? Farrakhan, he didn't want fives or tens. I was at the Million Man March. You think we could ever get something like that again? No, because of communication. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. So now, what I'm hearing here, and another one of our problems, and I'm always preaching this: there is no future in a job. Keep your full-time job, but find out what your gift is and your resource that you have available to you, and work part-time on. You can't give your job to your kids. What happens if your job moves to another country? What happens and how long you think they will take care of you if you got sick? What if they terminate you? We are depending on other people for our future and to take care of us. And this is a problem. I don't know how many more minutes we got, but I want to remind you once again, whenever we do a station break, you won't see it in the chat, but if you play our YouTube videos, the commercial will be there, which is entertainment. We call that the honey. We give you 3 minutes of information and 3 minutes of honey. The honey is, the castor oil is information. The honey is the entertainment. And at the end of our shows on YouTube, there will also be other entertainments. Claudia, you got something you want to say it, because you always got a stamp to put
Well,
on the
I'm
left.
from Boston. Where are you from again? Because everybody's not from Boston, I'm assuming, on the platform, right? Because are you from Boston too?
You talking to me?
Yes.
No, I'm from the Geechee. I'm in South Carolina.
Okay.
I dare ya.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I should have known that.
All right now.
Well, I know everybody's been talking about um the trials and everything that's going on in the media, and I just want to stress how important it is that we utilize the platforms that we already have in place and make sure that we know who we're amongst, and utilize the platforms and support each other wholeheartedly, so that when the growth happens, it happens within the unit. A lot of times we don't understand the process that it takes for one person to eat, and then when that person eats, the next person eat, then you got 5 people. When I say eating, I mean having homes and lands and farm, eating, like really eating and having a lifestyle that we envision and dream about in our minds, some of us. So but it takes collective energy and collective thought and collective resources that we pull together and start at a starting point where we form the necessary platforms and we utilize the necessary platforms. Then we influence others to use our platforms so that there'll be growth, because a lot of times we'll have good people and good intentions and we'll want great results, but we'll just stay in that same space. And I think that's the problem with us. We don't know how to execute. We have all of the resources. We'll have key players. We'll have everything we need at our disposal, but we never have the means to pull it all together so that we could benefit from it with growth and prosperity and abundance and those words that we deserve. Because if we don't do it, it ain't gonna happen. Like, it has to happen in the real time with real people who have real desires and real resources. And I feel like this group has that potential because, first of all, we're saying the right words. We have all the right vibration and the frequencies and the topics. And I see it growing every week since I came on. But we have to have an agenda up front so that if it does grow exponentially, we know what we want the outcome to be. And I just say that because we have a lot of opportunities. When you're talking about platforms and digital and media, I mean, I think we have a lot of opportunities to make something great.
And the potential. Okay, you always put a stamp on the letter. I don't know if the mailman, delivers like on time, but the letter is prepared. I want to piggyback by saying that my name is AC, and a lot of people probably, because I'm the host of the show. In the beginning, I first started this. We were going to do a Bible study to determine what is the problem, why we were disconnected. And I was walking one day, and BB decided to walk too. And she decided to say, Arthur, it would be a good idea if we start a walk a mile in my shoe. And that's where the show's originally but previously I had a show on Comcast for 6 years with a previous business partner. And I'm going to tell you about that. If you go to our website, the reason I'm saying all this, because I would like for you to see the business that we spotlight. And it's an idea of what I'm trying to project. The fact that we need to get to the place where we keep our dollars in our community so that we could grow. And the website is acandjbobo.com. Up to the left, if you click, you'll see all of those businesses that we spotlight. And eventually what I'm looking for now is 3 sponsors from 3 different states that will sponsor these shows, because BB, she has her own business and it has expanded. And she's not going to be able to do the editing or to control the podcast. Now, we have someone doing it for us, and they're doing an excellent job, and we need to keep them. But I need someone backing her, and I would hope that we could get someone locally in South Carolina, because sometimes it's easier to show someone what you want versus telling them. And we just need more than one person prepared, because we don't need this show to ever be on a downside. So we are asking for 3 sponsors from different states to sponsor this show, and we will spotlight you on our show each week. We'll give you a about a minute video to spotlight you of what we are talking about on this show. And we want to take that fund, because we need to pay. Now, BB dedicated her service for free, but we want to pay the person that's doing the show. I think our time is just about up. And in my conclusion, I'd like to say, as always, you've just got to be there to know what's going on. Stay tuned. In the YouTube video, we're going to have a little sugar for you. We call it honey. We'll see you next week. I'm out of here.
And when family comes, we invite them back, right?
Hey, y'all coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know it.
Okay. Any final words from either of you? In closing, say something to encourage somebody, either about caring, giving, loving, or sharing, or even about how they can get to be successful, because y'all really smoke, man. This is the end of the show now, and I'll admit it. These guys smoke.
Yes.
What did it take to get you? How often do y'all rehearsal?
Ooh, every day.
Every day.
Wow.
That's good.
And the Sabbath day, we make it holy.
All
Okay.
right, I heard
All right.
that.
I was about to touch on that. Put God first.
Yes.
All things possible. When I see you in the street, I can hardly speak. You look so lovely. When I check you in the club, shaking all your love. You look so sexy.
And you got baby.
You got what I need, baby. Oh yeah. Every time that you're around, my heart begins to pound. It beats so crazy. And all I can say is, ooh, 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 ooh. Oh yeah, yeah. I want you, girl.
'Cause you are, baby.
You are, you are, you are, you are.
You are what I need, lady.
Oh yeah, yeah. And just a touch of your soft skin makes my love Jones kick in. So hot for you, girl.
And all I can say is,
figure like an hourglass. Ooh, you're so fine. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, wee. Ooh, babe. You're so fine. You're blowing my mind. Oh, yeah.
don't you know you got me saying, you are so fine, you're blowing my mind. Don't you know you got me saying, oh, let me touch you, baby. Oh,
All aboard! For this stagecoach is about to move out. It is for everyone that has potential and would love to be a superstar. Yeah, buddy, this stagecoach is leaving for Fun Timesville. And the Lord God is your driver. To see that we have a safe trip. AC is your conductor. Come on, everybody.
Headed down to Funsville.
Come on.
Come on, take the ride if you will.
Everybody.
You don't have to worry
The Lord God is your driver.
Just come on and get on board.
Ladies and gentlemen, no tickets will be accepted on this trip. You just sit back and ride. Get ready. Everybody put your hands together right about here. We're going to do a soul clap. Come on, everybody. We're going to ride. We're going to ride. We're going to ride. Soul clap. Soul clap. Get ready.
Headed down to Funsville.
Ride.
Come on, take the ride if you will.
Sit back.
You don't have to worry.
When I see you in the street, I can hardly speak. You look so lovely.
when I check you in the club, shaking on your love.
You look so sexy.
And you got, baby.
You got
what I need, baby.
Oh yeah. Every time that you're around, my heart begins to pound. It beats so crazy.
And all I can say